Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. I gotta turn the microphone on there. Yeah, there we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. I am back. I hope you guys enjoyed John yesterday. I know he's a little bit quiet, but he's a really good trader. He actually had an amazing trade there. I'm still like a little upset that it didn't work out for him because it was a great trade. But anyways, we got today, and today might be one of the most interesting days that we get for a while. I don't know if the market is going to give us lots of opportunities. I can see that the bonds are moving up here before the open. Oh man, look at this. They're already up 4 ticks and they're clicking around and doing their thing. We have on the news slate today, we've got a bunch of important numbers: core PCE price index, employment cost index, personal spending, personal income, and Chicago PMI. What are we looking for in these numbers? Core PCE, spot 1 versus previous of spot 1. Employment cost index, we're looking for spot 7 versus a previous of spot 7. Personal spending month over month, spot 3 versus a previous of spot 4. Personal income, we're looking for a spot 3 versus a previous of spot 5. By the way, that was the one that was like so amazing and the market didn't really move on it as much as we thought. If they're up again on that, that'll be interesting to see how they react to it. Chicago PMI, we're looking for a reading of 48.9 versus a previous reading of 48.9. And on that one, I would remind you that some of the PMI numbers have been better than expected. So keep an eye on that one. Revised University of Massachusetts consumer sentiment, looking for a reading of 99 spot 1. And revised University of Massachusetts inflation expectations, I don't have an estimate for that, but the previous was 2 spot 5. Good morning, Uzi. Let's come over here and look at the charts. So you can see here, the E-mini in particular is really interesting because, they were down yesterday. And then at the very end of the day, and I think it was Amazon that really did it, but at the end of the day, they just, and they finally came up here, completely closed this gap and got the point of control up there at 32.95. All is right in the world, I'd say, at this point. So we're in a relatively balanced area, but then we got the impeachment thing going on today. And the word on the street, not the word on the street, but the rumor mill and what we know so far is that the GOP believes that they have the votes to prevent witnesses at the impeachment trial, which would mean that this whole fiasco is basically done this weekend. And, the Democrats will cry about it for a week, and then maybe we can get back to regular business. Uzi says 07 is the upside value target for ZB. I see. So yeah, that's basically where we're at. They were moving up ahead of the open, but now that they've opened, they've kind of quieted down. Well, anyways, so we got about 8 minutes. I have a bagel to eat. I haven't been very good at getting ready here. Man, this camera, I need to figure out how to set it better. Maybe I just need a better mount. I don't know. But anyways, got everything set up there. Then I think John is still working on this. I changed his indicator and it kind of screwed it up for him because he likes it to look a different way. But I think he's gonna figure it. I think he's gonna figure it out on his own. In your line. Okay, let's look. I don't know if you're listening, John, but We'll look at it. I'm just gonna make it tiny over here. Did John wind up taking any additional trades yesterday? No, I don't think he did. I think he was pretty mad about it too. It was like a great trade, wasn't it? But you know what? There wasn't a whole lot of, I don't know. I tell you what, if I had been trading yesterday, I think I would have had a hard time. Line 208, you reference plot 8, and it should be 5, 4. It should be 4. He's right. It should be. I don't think that changes anything, but you are correct, sir. That would maybe change a few things. Let's see. Them treasuries are up. They are up. I think it's a little bit too late for me to be taking it, but when oh hey, we didn't turn on the text reader. Let's do that. And let's open up the jigsaw the overview. Open this up. There we go. And this. So what did she say? Good morning, boy. Am I tired watching the trial? I am popping in before I have to head over to make sure the world is safe. Hope your Friday is fun and not FOMO. Please hit like. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. I should eat here, but we'll talk about the impeachment thing in a bit because there's the way the vote is coming down is interesting, and some interesting stuff happened last night too. Even worse, there was plenty of opportunity to make up for it before the end of the day, but I was trapped in a stupid project, so I had to eat it. Yeah, but you know what? Like yesterday was like a very range bound day still too. It moved. It was that one where it could be really good for scalping if you really like the ranges, and yeah. I sometimes that kind of situation can really screw you up. Okay, I'm gonna eat here. You guys chat to me. You guys.
Winstanzamam says eat something. Winstanzamam says yep. Do you know the history of Lamar Alexander's seat? He is our senator, so observing him is interesting. Winstanzamam says what's on everyone's Friday schedule. Today is our garbage day, so woohoo for the garbage men who really are underappreciated. Jerry is awake, says thank you at mom. Uzi Knesset says trade then go paint some more lol. Winstanza mom says my father-in-law is on a cruise over to the Pacific. I was not sure leaving the country now is a good idea, but what can you do with men? Uzi Knesset says and pay bills. Winstanza mom says pay bills, great idea. Please pay a few for me. Uzi Knesset says lol.
See, I talk too much. It's 30 seconds. 30 seconds. I'm not done eating. You're going to have to listen to me chew.
Winstanza mom says we're going over to Tunica to see the Super Bowl, maybe, and would anyone like me to place a for fun bet, for them? I plan to play craps and eights.
Okay, personal spending, month over month, spot 3. Raw materials, 2 spot 8. Employment cost benefits, spot 5. Core PCE price index, spot 2. GDP, month over, oh, that's Canadian. No. Personal income, month over month, spot 2 versus
says
spot
I was
3.
thinking it would be fun to carry around a clipboard and tell the staff I am rating the quality of their comps.
So, a couple of the numbers were under. So, personal income month under expectations. Personal spending in line. That would tend to push us up a little bit, but they had already moved up, so somebody must have caught wind of that news coming and front run it. Did we get everything in there? Let me refresh here, just make sure that I got it all. Yes, it did. Core PCE spot 2 versus spot 1, so that's a little bit of inflation, so that helps. Employment costs, though, spot 7. So a little bit of mixed numbers.
Winstanza mom says the wage growth rate came out flat at 2%, and I hope I have wage growth correct.
Yeah.
Clinton and Carter are beating this administration's numbers.
That in my opinion is the most important number. Because what leads to real inflation? It's when people are making money, right? If wages go up. If wages continue to be under expectations, then we can continue to be in this Goldilocks area where the Federal Reserve doesn't have to raise rates. Why is this not turning?
Winstanza mom says what happens if they raise rates?
What happens if they raise rates? Well, then all of these companies out there that are doing well, that in part rely on having really low borrowing
mom
costs.
says I mean overall for the day trading business.
So if they raise rates, then we sell treasuries, basically. That's the gist of it. I mean, the simplest way to explain what makes treasury moves is the Federal Reserve going to raise rates or lower rates. If they're going to raise them, we sell them. If they're going to lower rates, we buy them. Right now, they're buying them because the market thinks that the Federal Reserve is going to lower again. Can you believe that? They think they're going to lower again. But that's what the Fed tracker. I was trying to get John to show that the other day. I don't think he understood what I was talking about. Let's look it up. Markets, interest rates. see me Fed Watch. What? There we go. Okay. So here's for the March meeting. It says that there's a 13% chance that they lower again. That's the next meeting. Okay. Probably it's not going to change. And you can see here, they don't think that it's going to change
says sell
anytime soon.
treasuries and maybe buy up stocks in antibiotics healthcare if this virus goes unchecked.
But
We do have human-to-human transmission now and there aren't holding the evacuees past March ab.
Yeah. Let me get to that one in a second. So by by July, they're saying that in July, now they think there's a greater probability that they will have dropped rates once again. Crazy, right? What about by December? Like the furthest out we can look. Furthest out we can look, they think that there is only a 13% chance that we're still going to be at the same rate, and all of the other probabilities are lower. Crazy, right? I'm just going to minimize that. It really has been slow since the news. Okay, so the virus unchecked. Well, no.
Jerry is awake says I just don't understand negative rates. I would just start stacking my pillow and my mattress.
Yeah, I don't think it would work in the United States. I think that the only reason negative rates is working in Europe is because in the United States we don't. If everybody had negative rates, it would be chaos. Because where people they're not gonna put their money in there. The businesses aren't gonna do that. And you can see in Europe, they're all fleeing Europe and coming over here.
Astrologers, and I confess I am while I study astrology. Saturn goes retrograde for the next year and a half starting in May. Oof, Saturn means delay. Lol.
Huh. So, on the coronavirus outbreak. So here's the thing that I would caution about that is that at this point it is now a click story, which means that the news media is probably making more money off of people clicking on stories about coronavirus than anything else. And so what they do is they will make stories for clicks that don't actually really mean anything practical for anybody. So, for instance, this latest story, the first human-to-human transmission in the United States of Wuhan coronavirus. Good. No, it was the lady's husband. So a lady, a 60-year-old lady in Chicago caught the virus and she transmitted it to her husband. I would be concerned if she didn't transmit it to your husband. Can you believe you catch something like that, your spouse doesn't catch it? Like, what is going on? That's weird. So what is that news story actually? It means nothing. It means jack shit. It is a pointless story that the news media is trumping up because it's a good headline. First human-to-human transmission. Oh, it's so scary. But it really doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't mean anything. The virus has not broken out in any meaningful way in the United States yet. Okay? Now, if you hear, 20 people in Chicago that it was transmitted to, then I would be concerned.
Has a new series called Pandemic and himself is watching it now.
Oh, yes, I've seen that.
Prepping, which is not a bad idea. Toilet paper first, please.
I watched that, and the thing that there's some good information.
Jerry is awake says LMAO.
I have to say it's pretty boring, but at some points I think that they are like way too hyperbolic. Like this guy, he's talking about like everybody's gonna get sick and they won't be able to maintain the power grid, and our whole civilization will just come toppling down. And that's not gonna happen. Not with these kinds of virus. Like, look, even if it was a Spanish flu, that wouldn't happen because our medical system is so much better than it was in 1917 or whatever. So, but it is an economic concern. That's the thing. It's absolutely an economic concern because China has decided to basically shut down everything over there. Now, will it come to the United States? I don't know. All I know is that right now hasn't happened. Right now, it hasn't happened, and everybody on the
Winstan's
internet
mom
is all
says, I
ready to
remember
get
the
freaked out
Mormon
about it.
pilot I worked with said you would stock up for 1 year.
Yes,
He was buying ramen in Korea, tickled pink with the deals.
that's funny. I have a little bit of food storage, but not a ton. Man, the
Winstan's mom
tenure
says,
is
and Colonel
really
Jolly
big.
had 8 children and more on the way.
So the tenure is consolidating higher at the moment. They are stacking it to shove it up. So I'm a little bit like, I think that we're going to have a little bit of a move up, but after it does that, I'm be concerned that they're going to just, turn away and let it drop. Now the E-mini is turning down as well as this is happening. So I'm starting to notice now some patterns that I think I should have before, but I never did. About if we have a move in the treasuries, and was that move caused by stacking or pulling, and what tends to happen on the next move. And when they stack it, I've been noticing that it can be like a really strong trend day, or they will stack it up and leave you high and dry. Okay, let me finish this bagel.
Winstan's mom says, pattern recognition, good for you. That's not something everyone does. I was surprised to learn this. Winstan's mom says 14 not watching Speculator Seth while he eats his bagel and we chat. Everyone please hit like for Speculator Seth and or his bagel. Winstan's mom says, Star of Symphony, 23, 20-6, 40 Capricorn, Om Vasubhyo Nama Shakti, power, Kya Payatri Shakti, the power to give wealth and fame, I have the power to convey wealth, I have learned.
Oh, are you saying that you saw me using the globalist signal that I'm ready for fame yesterday or Wednesday? Did you catch that conversation? we should be careful because she might be one of the globalist
Winstan's mom
brainwashed
says
drones.
Danishta translated means the famous or the wealthy. This constellation's 4 stars form a drum representing the rhythmic, consistent pace at which these individuals can live their life. Ohm's law.
We got to be careful about talking about it because what if she's one of the globalist drones? If we start exposing their plot, then she might kill herself because that's
Winstan's
what
mom
they've been
says
programmed
no,
to do.
did you? I was kidding because my nakshatra is Danishta.
No. So, yeah, so the thing we were talking about, I learned this on TikTok. One of the girls on TikTok was pointing, because she does this at the beginning of all of her videos. Well, apparently conspiracy theorists believe that this is a symbol that the globalist Illuminati use to, they program it into their drones. So like this is what they'll do. The Illuminati will kidnap you, and then they will subject you to months of torture. Essentially, they will torture you and sexually abuse you and do all of these terrible things to brainwash
mom
you.
Says globalist drone bearing ferrets. Drones, skeet shooting with prizes. Amazon will love my neighborhood. Everyone has weapons and nothing to shoot.
and one of the things that they do is that they brainwash the drones so that when they see this symbol, that means that they need to give that person fame, essentially. So then when they have their plants, in like rock stars and stuff, and they're ready for those rock stars to become big because of their tightly detailed plans or whatever, I don't know. But then they use that signal and all the drones see it, and then they make that person famous. And so you can use it because it's been programmed into them.
Winstan's mom says hook 'em horns. I did pop in for that chat. Lol.
Yes. And then so there was another thing they were saying that you use the pyramid symbol, and that's kind of more of the leadership symbol. When Alan Dershowitz was addressing the Senate, which was a very, very good presentation, but most people aren't going to watch it because it was like an hour and 30 minutes. The whole time he was sitting here like this. He was sitting there using the symbol. I was just laughing. I was like, oh my gosh. The conspiracy theorists are probably going crazy with this because they all think that he was involved in Epstein Island and all this stuff. It's just, oh, it's so funny. I thought it was so funny. Like, I was reading this stuff. This guy, he wrote a book about it and how he deprogrammed Illuminati victims, which he says was really hard because they try and kill themselves. And according to him,
Brian Schwartz says you look like Scott DeFace of the Howard Stern Show.
I'll have to look that up. They claim that the globalists
Schwartz
have a moon colony.
Asterisk.
Scott DePace.
Winstan's mom says I watched. That temple hand gesture in body language is considered a power position. An alpha male will do this gesture.
Oh, I've never seen that guy before. That's interesting. I'm telling you, I look like Amanda Cerny's boyfriend. What is his name again? Johannes Bartel? Yeah, that's right. Yep, there we go. Pull it up immediately.
Winstan's mom says Ivanka uses this gesture when she meets with other women. Check out Body Language Ghost. She's great.
See this?
Uzi
I look
Knesset says discount Moby lol.
Come on. We're like the spitting image of each other. My eyes are a little darker. His will probably get darker as he gets older. Especially when you look at from the side. Do we have a side picture?
Winstan's mom says you look like an NTP.
We look the same. We're the same. That's totally what I look like with my shirt off, too. No, but so let's talk about the impeachment thing.
Winstan's mom says, wow, he does look like you. Winstan's mom says yes, I have watched almost every hour of the trial.
Almost every hour. I can't believe. So this is the thing that I think is interesting about the trial. Is it seems to me like the Democrats are fudging it up. Like, all you had to do, guys, all you had to do was just get up there and not sound crazy. And you couldn't do that. Do you see this scene yesterday? This moment where Elizabeth Warren...
Lindsay Knesset says while we may have stunning features and chiseled abs, it doesn't mean that we too can't not die in a freak gasoline fight accident.
This Zoolander rep is so freaking funny. Oh, man. No, okay, no, you're already getting me off track. Okay. Did you see the question that Elizabeth Warren posed to the Chief Justice? Isn't this, like undermining the Chief Justice in the Supreme Court if we don't impeach Donald Trump and everything? Oh yeah. Thanks, Liz. Piss off the Chief Justice. That's really gonna help you. Really? How did she think that was a good idea? You know what I'm starting to think about Elizabeth Warren? I'm starting to think that she is not as smart as her resume suggests. So it was like the Pocahontas thing. I can think of a couple of other. I can't think of them right now, but I'm pretty sure there was a couple of other things that she's done recently that it was like, oh look, this is this brilliant strategic move, and then it turns out to be a complete blunder. I mean, everybody was saying, oh, Nancy is so smart by delaying the impeachment proceedings until after Christmas. No, it was a terrible idea. I mean, that was probably the one thing that like set it in motion. If she had not done that, maybe the Republicans would have been more willing to go along with it. But because she did that, all the Republicans said, this is just a game. So now, last night, there's been this big thing about will they call for witnesses or not. And it sounded like they were going to have witnesses. All presidential candidates who put preferred pronouns in their Twitter bios have faded from relevance. Warren is on the way out. She's the last. Yeah, she really is. It's really kind of surprising how she like came up and then like disappeared. In it. Anyways, so the Republicans, can you imagine having to sit through all of that? You're required to sit and listen to the trial. There's news stories about how you're not paying attention. You went out for a bathroom break or whatever it is, and they left the room. That's so bad. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to sit through that. I wouldn't. I would fall asleep. I would be the guy. They're showing on the news that I slept through most of the impeachment. That's what would happen. There's no way that I would be able to sit through that. So boring. Okay? So you imagine you're a Republican sitting there. You know that he's not going to get convicted. There's no way they're going to get 60 votes. Okay? And then the Democrats come up. Oh, we want to call witnesses. How many witnesses are they going to call? Oh, well, the first is just Bolton, but then there's like, we want Bolton and Pompeo and Kelly and these people that like weren't even there anymore before that. Really? You have any idea how long that would take? It would take months. I think that one of the president's counsels was asked that question and he responded, yeah, it would take months, because not only would the procedural motions to make those happen take a long time, but you would probably have to go to the Supreme Court to get the subpoenas answered, and it would literally take months. Like, the impeachment trial would maybe go through the election. I'm not even kidding. And you're a Republican and you're sitting there, okay? Think about if you're Collins or Morawski, okay? Here you're being forced to take these really difficult votes that no matter which way you vote, part of your constituency is going to be pissed off. And this matters very much to your re-election chances. And Democrats are just forcing you to take these difficult votes. And for what? If you vote in favor of witnesses, does that help your re-election chances? I don't think it does, especially not if it means that you have to sit through more impeachment proceedings. I would be voting no just to end it. And I'm sure that a lot of those guys, that is exactly what they are thinking. So here last night, we had the couple of the in the middle senators on the Republican side stating their positions. Collins said that she was going to vote for witnesses. But here's the thing. Colin only votes with the Democrats when the Republicans already have the votes. I'm telling you. Mitch McConnell already has the votes and told Collins that she can vote yes. That's why they're doing it. Now, Morawski, I don't know. I would assume, though, that Morawski is also going to vote yes on witnesses. But then maybe there's a Democrat that's going to flip. And if not, it will be break even, and I don't think the Chief Justice will vote. So there won't be witnesses. It's pretty crazy. But we'll see what happens on the vote today. I don't know what time the vote is, but it's going to be... Oh, and when it happens and they say no witnesses, the wailing. Oh, the wailing. People are going to be so upset. The Democrats are going to be so upset. But, well, what's Winston saying? What happens when Bolton's book comes out and he tells exactly everything he was told? He keeps notes. We know what he did. Well, yeah. I mean, I would expect that the House will call him in and he will still testify. We're still going to hear from Bolton. Almost certainly we will still hear from Bolton. Now, the one wild card in all of this, not the wild card, but the one that's interesting is Mitt Romney, because it seems to me that Mitt Romney is the only Republican that really actually wants witnesses. But I think that the Republicans, the other thing that's going on here is that the Republicans were very much convinced by the president's legal team arguments that it wasn't an impeachable offense. And so they really don't care what Bolton has to say, because no matter what he says, it's not going to be impeachable. And I believe that they're correct. But
Winstan's mom says if you were on trial and you had people who could tell exactly what happened, wouldn't you want them to testify? Mitt Romney had chocolate milk and the ladies discovered the interns would heat water. Ace Trades says morning. Algo Lover says HAGWE, thumbs up.
yeah.
Winstan's mom says good morning, Algo Lover, how the heck are you, and hello, Ace of my hearts, how is your house of fun and games, 5th house in astrology, I am looking to the stars today, lol. Ace Trades says at Winstan's mom morning love. How are the animals at your place? Uzi Knesset says they'll just redo impeachment process again lol. Ace Trades says got a short signal sitting at 3,276.25.
You might be right. You might be right about
says,
that
what
one.
do you think about Les and Rudy? Do you think they should have been allowed to run foreign policy in the background? Sidestep the diplomats? Force out the ambassador?
Well, I don't think that they were necessarily running foreign policy from the background, but this whole thing about forcing out the ambassador, I find the reaction to it really confusing.
Mika Farrett is napping and Juliet Farrett has fallen asleep in her dad's nightstand drawer. They are waiting for the playground garage to open, skin kids, for kids just the same.
I don't understand how you learn everything about that and the reaction is, oh, Rudy Giuliani was doing things he shouldn't have doing. No, the U.S. ambassador was fighting the official U.S. policy. She should have been fired. It was amazing that she got as far as she did and that she was in there for as long as she was, because she should have been fired day one based on what she was doing. That's the scandal. And everybody's talking about Rudy. Like, Rudy, I don't know. Rudy seems crazy to me. I really don't care what he does. I really don't care what he does. If he goes to jail, like, or whatever. But what bothers me is that you can completely undermine the president's foreign policy. That you can be the deep state and undermine the president and get away with it. That bothers me. That to me is like, are we
Lucas
really gonna?
Morning. What's bothering you, Seth?
Lucas. We're talking about the
Seth
Ukrainian ambassador.
About politics for once.
I was talking about the ambassador. I tell you what, that just to me, it gets me a little riled up because obviously I see a lot of this stuff as just like theater, right? But what I'm concerned
Twin
about,
Dog says you can't seriously believe the deep state is a real thing.
oh, it absolutely is a
Winstan's
real
mom
thing.
says no, she was doing what she was
How
supposed to do.
can you say
She
it's
was a hero.
not?
The
The
scandal
deep
is that she was
state.
muddying by this
Wait,
conspiracy
hold on.
theory. Les told the president she was talking him down. The embassy said nope.
That the deep state has come out and said that they're a thing. I mean, come on. We have people on the record now saying that they saw Eric Ciamella and his other buddy basically saying, well, we're going to do everything that we can to undermine the Trump presidency, and this is how we're going to do it, and talking about basically setting this whole thing up. And there was the term deep state. The deep state made the term up because there was guys on the fourth floor of the the agency there, and they were all buddies, and they were calling themselves. That's where the term came from. How can you say that they don't exist? The deep state 100% is a proven, confirmed thing. The only question is, how much influence does the deep state actually have? Is the deep state this giant global conspiracy that is absolutely controlling everything? Well, no, probably not. It's probably just individual people that are trying to undermine the president. But the thing that bothers me and the thing that gets me riled up is when I see things that are going to affect the future. And when I say it's going to affect the future, I'm not thinking about Donald Trump and foreign policy or, from, a year now for Donald Trump. I'm concerned about who's going to be president 30 years from now. And what kind of precedents are we setting that is going to make a president 30 years from now his job difficult? How can a president do his job if he can have holdovers from the previous administration completely trying to undermine everything that he's doing, even if it's good or bad or whatever? It doesn't work like that, folks. We created in our country a very independent executive branch that has a lot of power, and they did that specifically because they did not want a parliamentary system, right? In the UK, you have a parliamentary system. The president basically serves at the pleasure of the parliament, and they didn't want that. They wanted a president that when we were in a tough situation, when we had to do a battle or whatever, he could make executive decisions. And that's what the president does. And if you work for the government, you work in the State Department or whatever, your job is to support the president and his policies. And if we set up a precedent that you can undermine the president because you don't like his policy, that will completely destroy the executive branch, and it weakens our country beyond measure. This precedent that they are trying to set with the deep state undermining and trying to impeach the president is an absolutely awful thing. And yeah, you get rid of Donald Trump, but what you're going to do is you're just going to absolutely destroy President 30 years from now, when World War IV happens or whatever. He's not going to be able to do what he needs to do, and it's going to hurt our country. It is. And similarly, this idea that you can just impeach the president for anything is a similar thing, because basically then the politicians are just always going to impeach. And precedent and president are very similar words. The president needs to be able to make decisions in foreign policy and not have to worry about whether or not he will be impeached over it. So that's why it gets me riled up. We are saying the president to remove the systems of checks and balances, and I will stop now because energy, frequency, and vibration are muting speculators, says somebody. He does have a lot of political time. Now listen, I've watched these things for a long time, and I really feel like that people are undermining our system of government to take out specific political opponents. I think that they did it to Obama too. So all the time they were talking about, oh, Obama did this. So, well, yeah, I mean, he's president. He's allowed to make that decision. Yeah, you can say that you don't like his position. But when you're basically trying to bring into question his whole presidency over, that's not healthy for the country. They did it to Obama. Now they're doing it to Donald Trump. I think they kind of did it to Bush too, but the internet wasn't really a thing back then, so it wasn't as serious when they were doing things like they were politics. Mm-hmm. Gary says 2 things you stay clear of are politics and religion. No, I mean, well, here's the thing. Here's why I feel comfortable talking about it. Two reasons. Number one, because I can talk about whatever fuck I want, anyways. But then number two, I think that it's important to understand these dynamics, um, and then you can translate that into market edge. I really do think you can. Here in this situation, I think that you could have very easily have predicted the way that this is going to come out simply by realizing that the smart people in the Senate aren't going to allow the presidency to be undermined in such a way. And Lucas went long at 32.74.50. I've been looking at it and I'm kind of still with my it's not like I'm not looking at it here. It's just they're in a spot where I can't take a trade. Even in the E-mini, like when Ace was saying 32, what did he say? Wasn't it 32.76.25? Where was it? That was like way up there, wasn't it? Yes, 32.76.25. But you see, like we're still not touching it. Do you ascribe to the unitary executive theory that William Barr believes is the best way to go? I don't understand what that means. I've been seeing stories where the left seems to be really upset about Barr, but I don't really know or understand what it is that he's saying. Usually, whenever I read them, I feel like that they're misconstruing what he's saying. But the problem that I find now at my age is the smart people in the Senate are my age, and I remember when they weren't so smart and when they were so young people like me. Well, and here's another thing that you got to understand is that what they say and do in the Senate is not necessarily what's going on up here, right? Like Collins, I don't think that Collins really wants witnesses all that bad. Collins is voting yes because she knows that the GOP is going to win anyways, and she thinks that if she says yes on the witnesses, that it will help her in her reelection. Almost 100% certain that that's what's going on there. Well, now it's at 25. Maybe we could short it. Kind of in between here. I'm not so sure. They are pushing a little bit. I'm gonna let that one go. We'll see if Ace gets it. That previous entry is still a good entry now. Oh, they came back. Oh, I don't know. It was a good impulse, but look at it. Now the treasuries are thick. A lot is traded at 12. How has so much been out? Did they just... Huh. I don't know about that one. Anything new on the baby name list? Yes. We need to add it. We were talking about it yesterday. Where is it? Here's the list right here. Last edited. We're going to put on here Anthony. We got a lot of A's on the name list. Your son will be born during a Leo moon. I think something like a lion, and that conveys courage. Yeah, I saw you said that one earlier, and I went and looked up the names of all of the famous lions, and the only name on there that I thought was good was Aslan, and I don't know if you can name your kid Aslan. That would be kind of bragging rights only baby date pool. I don't know if that would be very fair because I think they're going to induce her. Simba. Name my child Simba.
Winstanza mom says Simba Seth's son, the speculator Seth, pride of progeny.
Pride of progeny. I feel ES is more my type of market. I just got tired of sitting on my hands for hours to maybe get one setup out of treasuries, and ES has tons of real opportunities. You know what, Lucas? I think that that's true. So here's the thing about edge. Remember, I was saying like there are 3 edges, and that's it. No, they're not the only 3 edges, but these are the 3 edges that are repeatable. And that is your ability to discover new information about the market, your ability to confirm if that information has edge, and your ability to execute off of that information. So, when you look at it from those perspectives, that's one of the reasons why you guys here in our chat room, and I would say, the guys in the Jigsaw chat room, that you have a greater number of people that stay in the market for a long time. Like they say that 90% of people leave after a year, but most of you guys have been around for more than a year.
Arthur. Everything Camelot, Richard Harrison, and Lancelot. Arthur is a magical name that conveys such wisdom, such strength, such courage. Don't let it be forgot that once there was a spot.
And so if those are your 3 edges, then the things that are one of the things that's going to really matter. Okay, so having a DOM and being able to do exactly what it is that you want to do, that's number 3, right? That's execution. Important. Okay, having a good news squawk. Here I'm using this thing. It's pretty good. The Jigsaw thing, it's pretty good. That's an edge, because that's your ability to discover new information about the market. And then your ability to come back and look at the stats. Where are my stats, by the way? Did I close it? I guess I closed it. Being able to see the stats, that's edge. Your own stats and adjust, that's number 2. Your ability to confirm if it has edge. Okay. So when you're picking your market, the primary thing that I would look at is your ability to discover new information about that market. So what is it easier for you to discover new information about? It's not. To me, it seems it's really difficult to discover new information about the treasury market. Like, you really have to understand the way that it's traded. And to do that, you have to have some insight into bank thinking, right? And you also have to understand the economic numbers. That's another key thing. But those are like your most important edges in treasuries, is understanding how the treasury market cycles and understanding how the economic news affects the treasury market. Okay, fair enough. Well, what about equities? If I'm trading the equity market, I would want to know who's reporting earnings today, how certain economic news affects the equities, although it's not as strong as with the treasuries. But then there's also just this rotational thing, right? Where it's like, if you want to catch 2 points in the E-mini, you can do it. It's really hard to do that in a treasury. Those range bound trades, I have a hard time with them. Rob says, I have saved up some money and I'm thinking about starting to invest. Well, then don't do it with what we're doing, because we're doing short-term trading. You'll probably lose it. And monetary policy, that's very important. This says Gary, yes. Or here's a better example. The oil market. What makes the oil market run? Do you understand politics in the Middle East? Do you understand the companies that mine oil? Do you understand those oil reports? Do you know where they're doing new exploration and things like that? I don't. I know that some of you guys do. I know that Gary Rich shares information with us about that sort of thing all the time. And if you have that kind of information, or you have the ability to discover new information about the oil market, then you can do very, very well there. But for many retail people, we're not going to have that. And so where is the place that we're going to have the ability to learn new information about the market? Well, in equities is just like stuff that you use every day. You know, like I can tell you, I still love Netflix, even though they do a lot of things that piss me off. I still really like Netflix, and I still watch it every week. And I still have a subscription. And guess what? They did pretty good on earnings this week. So can you, as a regular person, discover more information about the equity market than other markets? I think so. And so the equity market, the equity index, I think is a good instrument to trade for probably the majority of traders. I say you should trade the treasuries for like 3 months. Like if I was taking somebody brand new, Ace said he lost twice and now he's going to go long. Well, I see my treasuries coming down. I can't take an on the fly one, but maybe we'll take a long here. I don't think I'm going to take a live one today though. I'm a little hesitant because of the setup we've got here. Anyways, hang around for a while and see how they observe the markets. You can open an account for about $500, but the idea is to prepare for the risk versus the reward. Rob says, I was advised to invest for the long term and not be swayed by the short term ups and downs because over time, 7% return is the average and you want time to work for you. Yes, Rob. So here's how I look at that particular thing. When you're day trading, what you are essentially doing is you are giving up return in exchange for consistency. So if you are long equities, over time, over a 10-year period, you're going to average 7 to 10% per year on average in the long term. But day to day, you can be up or you can be down. And you can have a whole year where you're down. I am in a hate relationship with treasuries right now because I understand. Yeah, so you could have, a down day. And if you're relying on that for income, for you to like pay your bills, that's not really doable. So what you do is you give up that long-term edge. You're not going to make as much, but you can make it so that you can come out the majority of days day trading and come out positive. So if you have a big chunk of change and you really want to make that money work for you, put it in the market long term. Pick 5 stocks. So I'd say, well, first of all, make sure that you're contributing the most that you can to your 401k and your IRA and all that stuff, okay? But then if you're already doing that, or you just have a big chunk of, $10,000 or more to invest in the markets, pick 5 stocks, pick a balanced portfolio. There should all be in different industries. Look at the way that the interest rate cycle tends to affect companies and use that to determine what your allocation should be right now. And then you can adjust those on a weekly basis. Spend about 2 hours a week on each of the companies that you choose, so you really understand those companies and just manage your portfolio, So if your company is up really, really big and it's higher than you think it should be, like right now, if I was in Tesla, I would probably be taking a little bit of profits. I'm not saying that it can't go further, but I'm just saying you up a lot, take some profits. Maybe it comes back down, but now you have some cash and you can use that to put into other names. Or, like if one of your other names are down more than you think that they should be, and you can go and you can buy those and you can manage them. And when you do that, you can beat the index. You can, especially if you invest in a company that you love and and that Wall Street hasn't picked up on yet. And that's where you get the stocks that go up 10 times what they were worth and you make tons of money. All right. But what we do is short-term trading. And the nice thing about short-term trading is you can risk very, very little. Like you can put $500 into it, trade micros, watch it every day, learn pure trading. And that's going to be another skill that you can then turn around and you'll have a much better view of what's going on in the markets. And you can use that to support your longer term trading. And so you will probably make more on your longer term trading because of your increased understanding of the markets, then you're going to lose day trading. Is kind of the way that I look at it. But if I was going to day trade, the recommendation that I would make to people is, especially since it's the beginning of the year, trade treasuries for 3 months. Make sure that you understand the treasury market. Then go out and look at the other markets and see if there's one that matches you better. With the mind of, what is my ability to discover new information in this market? And probably for most people, they're going to find that they have more of an edge in equities than they do in treasuries. Probably. Plus, you got those micros and you can risk so little. Lucas says, look at that. Just look at the 10-year. 1 hour, maybe one decent setup that could have gotten you 2 ticks. Yeah. Did they only go down 2 ticks from 12? It's still within the range, right? Rob says, cool, thank you for streaming this. This is interesting. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, like one of the reasons that I trade it, I feel that what you're looking at right now is the best kept secret in trading. Is that there's a DOM that allows you to literally see all of the orders, and there are patterns and things that you can pick out about the market because of that. And there are so many people out there that just have no clue what's actually going on underneath of this. They just see how price changes and they're trying to pull stuff out of how price changes. And you're very limited if all you can look at is price. What is this win? There's
Winstan's mom says in Ace Trades, my Namshatra is Danishta so I can bestow wealth on us all. Google Danishta and tell me you are not intrigued. Lol, the 8 goddesses have spoken. Ace Trades says at Winstan's mom I was making fun of a guy who advertises on YouTube all the time. Bot says waving hand morning all.
I guess John missed the political rant, but he doesn't like the political rant. So there's the names. You got the names. If you have good names to add on to it, let me know. She wants to have a list of names to take to the hospital, so we won't pick it until he's born.
Winstan's mom says, oh, darn, because I already have wish listed my blue Ford Mustang Sally that I plan to drive around in this year. Winstan's mom says, good morning, Jolly Rancher bots.
So John, did you figure out the issue with the analyzer, or should we look at it now? Oh wait, hold on. I might be getting I might get a signal here. Let's
Ace
watch
Trade
close.
says at Winstan's mom I'm intruded by evidence. What is your track record at bestowing wealth? 3idet says I could imagine that the DOM is also heavily influenced to create patterns for the Payope who are watching the DOM. I don't know, what would you say? Bot says no,
yes.
Still not resolved. Gary Rich says at MOM my border collie dream catcher is all I need.
If we form a point of control higher, above 163 in the treasury, then I can take it long. Bidet. So it is absolutely true that the DOM is manipulated. So something that we saw earlier was they were stacking very strongly here above 12 to try and push it to a new high. And they got like 1 or 2 ticks higher, and then it fell back down, and then we had that drop. So yeah, there are, they definitely manipulate it and try and trick you. But when you have the experience, you will kind of note a couple of patterns about it that allows you to avoid even the manipulation. Like one thing is there's going to be kinds of spots where you see that. Like when price is kind of going into all of these turny kind of things like this, you're more likely to see manipulation, and you should just ignore it. When they're stacking, it's much more likely, in my experience, to be manipulation. Whereas polling tends to be a little bit more reliable in terms of where price is going to go. So there's things like that. But, it's all just a piece of information, right? That's why I'm saying, like, what's your ability to discover new information about the market? And then you look at those things that you're seeing, track them, study it, take really close notes and the stats of what happens afterwards, and maybe you'll be able to pull an edge out of it. And that's part 2. You need to be able to confirm that what you've seen is actually an edge, right? Many of us have one and we don't have two because we're not meticulous enough about our record keeping. Okay, so now it says I can take it. It's all in line here. Oh, what happened to my ZB and CB? Oh, there's the 15-minute one. Okay. Yes. Okay, so could I get filled here? I really don't want to pay up at 13. Okay. So, do you agree here, John, that is we're above point of control higher, CCI increasing? Maybe we're not getting the CCI on the, I can't tell yet on the 15-minute chart, but should be.
Winstanza Mom says Ace Trades I am great at bestowing wealth. It was the Tao of Pooh that took it all back. But I did secure the borders of my pond. I want pocket money to travel. How else will we dance in Utah? Ace Trades says at Winstanza Mom I am going to need to see the paperwork on that claim. Lol. Winstanza Mom says Dreamcatchers might just help. They are really pretty, after all. Have you read Stephen King's book, Dreamcatcher with the shish *** weasels, ick. Countess 1 says at Winstanza Mom hello. What did I miss? A chance at turning my $1 to $2.50?
She came back.
Winstanza Mom says paperwork or tax records. Lol sigh why do you think we live here and not back in Florida? Country living is not the life for me but it's pretty and inexpensive. Ace Trades says at Winstanza Mom they don't. Countess 1 says at Winstanza Mom I wish I could switch places with you. I prefer the country life. Ace Trades says at Winstanza Mom I figured it was for the health of the ferrets. Winstanza Mom says Countess 1 hello, Countess. Speculator Seth Ace Trades everyone please allow me to introduce you to a very smart lady. Countess lives in Singapore.
Oh, really?
Winstanza Mom says Ace Trades, Countess is my friend, an ENTJ from our Jungian typology community. Please introduce yourself. Countess 1 says at Winstanza Mom thank you for the compliment. Coming from you, that means a lot. Gary Rich says here's a new and bright idea. Try trading in sim from price and volume only first. Then slowly add layers to it. Wow how genius of me. Bot says that looks right for Wyatt's signal.
As long as you're using volume. The thing that bothers me is when where people are trying to pull an edge just off of price, and I'm like, you're missing half, well, not even half. You're missing 80% of what's actually going on. Hourly, daily, good uptick. Weekly, monthly, and then the total. Total signal. Okay.
RJ Wheel says and price is the other 40 PCT.
You know what?
Winstanza Mom says Countess has just opened a channel designed for conversation. The Obligated Introverts, and Kankan Krishna Sarma Pegu is in India and she works with our Countess to build her channel.
I think that we need to change.
Winstanza Mom says I can't wait for sexy robot voice to say, Kankan Krishna Sarma Pegu.
On these ones right here. Everything past a day. Weekly signal, that needs 35 days back. This one needs 35. This one needs 35. Okay. So on that one, it says that the ZN, that everything is in line and that we are positive on all time frames. That is correct, isn't it, John? So it looks to me like mine is running correctly.
Ace Trades says 2 minutes to open.
And on the E-mini, we are down on the day, but we're positive on the
Mom Anganter is also helping.
That's correct.
All INFJs can't say no to me, lol. Winstanza Mom says Countess won when the market opens and the gentleman began to trade in earnest. I get quiet and listen to learn, but I will switch over to the trial shortly. Winstanza Mom says Anganter is the best.
So what is different between mine and yours, John? Are the values that you have in here, daily signal 7, that's still correct? And then my other question would be up here at the top, did you change the order of these where you add the plots? Did you change the order of those? Okay, so it's telling me that I have to bring this in.
Bots says your comment about price only not being enough information when you ignore volume is like saying it wasn't the fall that killed him, it was the abrupt stop when he hit the ground.
I don't
Countess
think
one
that
says at Winstanza Mom,
I
okay,
don't
I
know
might
if that
fall
makes
asleep, it
sense
is
to me
late.
at all. Let me see. Let me think about that for a second. Let me come up with a comeback to that. That's like saying that it was the fall that killed him rather than the person that pushed him off the building. Volume's what pushed him off the building, guys. Not price. Price is just the fall.
Winstanza Mom says sleep well, Countess and I will see you later on Hysterics channel.
I don't know if they're going to give me 13 now. I should have taken it when they weren't pushing, when they were pushing back through.
Bot says no, my indicator code is laid out exactly the same as your version.
That is so weird. So then my other question is like, did you like completely refresh your market analyzer? Because like the plots might be out of sync
Countess
in the older
says
one.
Winstanza Mom, see you. I hope you come out richer and wiser.
So I assume from what you said to me that you set the analyzer up another time, right? Like you closed it and created a new one with the and then added it on there. Okay, cool, we got filled. That one didn't turn out to be the +3, but it was still really good, wasn't it? I'm just like so surprised that
Eric
like I'll
Cages
take it
says
and then
hello. Bot says I built new ones.
the trend
MAs.
has come out. I built new ones.
Bot says
MAs.
correct.
Oh yes, market analyzers, not moving averages. So why does it work on mine?
Winstanza Mom says
so
thanks
weird.
Countess manifesting a blue Ford Mustang Sally or at least a pearl necklace. Lol. Eric Cages says how's it going?
Did we just go negative? Where's it? Oh, not ZN. ZN 15 minute. Oh, so we did. We went negative on the hour. Well, because it's 7:30. That's why. Okay, cool. 5K at 12.5.
Ace Trades says at Air Cages morning. Winstanza Mom says good morning, Air Cages, and have you been to batting practice lately? I always think of batting cages when you appear.
Well, so here's another question. Oh, these are plot style block. Let's do this.
Uzi Knesset says this may be a silly question, but are you and bots on the same version of NT8?
Yes, we checked that a while ago. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the changes that you
Bot says,
that
so
you were
what did
saying
you do
you
to
made.
fix your code this last time?
TFC signal is what we'll call it. And then the other thing is that
Bot
in
says
here
yes,
I
we are
had
Uzi. Air Cages says batting practice? Not that I'm aware.
So on yours, you might not have this bit right here. So I had to say here where I was plotting the TFC signal, I also have to set it to 1. Here's the painted the view one, and here's the signal one. So did I compile that correctly? Let me recheck here. I'm gonna be a little mad if they go back up again. Look at the E-mini selling hard. Selling hard. I'm not.
Air Cages says Seth is really serious today.
I'm not entirely. I'm a little all over
Gary
the place,
Rich
aren't I?
says at bots, how many trades do you take from your signals, if you don't mind?
Oh, look at that. Are they gonna fill at 14? I mean, here it's the open, so we can kind of tune out for a little bit, right? Okay. This one. is going to be, oh, look at that. I have to add it again. IR, TFC.
Bot says let me see the code again, please.
Sure. So you probably don't have this area between lines 150 and 160. Let me do this one. Okay, yeah, that one's fine. Have to rebuild the market analyzer, basically. I wonder if you can. No, probably not. New market analyzer. ZN. Yes. Columns.
Bot says yeah, that's all in there between 150 and 160.
Indicator. We'll just do the most simple one. IRTFC. Total signal. 35 days look back. Okay. They're both 0. Which I think is correct. Oh, that's interesting. This is not right. This one went gray for a second. It's not anymore. Well, okay. ZN is 1 now. That's correct. So mine is working correctly. Mine is working correctly. Come over here to this chart here. IRTFC. Does it with blocks like you like. That's correct. That's correct. Yes. So I'm just going to send you this version, and you shouldn't have to change anything on this version because it has the name that you want. And it draws it with the default, at least, is blocks. Send it to you. IR, where is it? TFC. And then when John thinks that it works correctly and stops coming to me with bugs because I'm just terrible at quality assurance here, then you can put it on.
Hugo Oswald says what capital to make $200 a day without too much pressure?
What capital? So you want to make $200 a day? Well, so first of all, the first thing that I would say is be really careful about goals. If that makes sense. Let's say here's my opinion on this, okay? Because this has kind of been a little bit of a controversial issue in the community.
$200,000 for 200 per days.
Yeah. So it's kind of been a controversial subject. So I believe that I have come up with some terminology here that will help you. That will help the community, okay? A goal is something that you want to do that you have complete control and ability to do.
Says at Hugo Oswald, as much as you have is a good number, but people do it with 2,000 to 3,000.
Yeah. So if your goal is to become president of the United States, that cannot be a goal because you don't have 100% control over whether or not you become president of the United States. One goal could be that my goal is to take 3 trades a day. Now that's something that you have control over. I don't know if that's a great goal because the number of trades that you take per day doesn't necessarily correlate with how well you do, but a better goal would be I am going to journal every trade. You have 100% ability to control whether or not you journal all of your trades. That is a goal that you can set. Saying I want to make $200 a day, that's an aspiration. It's okay to have aspirations. You should have aspirations, but when you anchor your expectations to these aspirations, it is destructive Because what will happen is when the market isn't on your side that day, you will continue to try and push for that aspiration. And in spite of what the market is telling you, and you can self-destruct, right? And we as people kind of develop expectations. So we say, oh, I get $200 a day, and you're getting it, but then you're not getting it that day. Your mind is going to freak out because its expectation is, oh, I should be getting it. Why am I not getting it? And you take it over and over again because it should still be working, but it doesn't work because the market's changed. So be careful about aspirations, first of all. So number 2, can you make $200 a day? Oh, yeah.
Gary Rich says, Seth, crushing my goal of becoming president. Man, what am I gonna do in life?
Negative
Nelly, lol.
So can you make $200
Live
a
Action
day?
says TradeStation has a tool that plots your previous trades on the charts with P&L.
So if you trade the E-mini, it's about $50 a point. I can make on one micro contract on a good day, I can make $100.
Vincenzo C says the goal should be no goal but a system. Did I follow the system?
Did I follow the system? Yeah, there you go, Vincenzo. He gets
Gary
it.
Rich
Absolutely.
says at SCE, I hope you are riding this S-drop.
I don't want to. I'm still afraid to touch it. In fact, the treasuries are coming down again. I wonder if they're going to give me a short. Okay, so anyways, if I trade the micro, I can make $5 on a point. Okay, $5, $10 on 2 points. Okay, $10 on 2 points. So that I would recommend having $500 to start to do that. That's a micro. Now the regular E-mini, this one right here, is 10 times that. So if you make a point, or if you make 2 points, you can make $100. Okay. And then you take 2 trades, or you're trading 2 contracts, you make $200 a day. Absolutely, you can do it. Absolutely, you can do it. And E-mini would be a great instrument to try and do it. Over in the treasuries, you can do it too. Treasuries, you know, I think that it's more realistic to make 4 points in a day is what I would get on like a good day. And that's about $62. So if you were trading 4 contracts, which would probably need to have more like, I would say $20,000 in your account maybe, then you could probably make $200 a day in treasuries. And it would be very consistent in treasuries too if you're able to do that. So can you do it in futures? Yes, you can. And like we were saying earlier, my recommendation is trade treasuries first for 3 months, because then you get a really good idea of order flow and you get a really good understanding of economic numbers and stuff like that. And then go and trade the E-mini and see if it fits you better. See if it's easier for you to discover new information about that market. Good answer. I worked hard on that one this week, so I hope that was a good answer, dude. There you go.
Live Action says hashtag Hugo Oswald, a good rule to start is never risk more than 1% on a trade.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've been thinking about the 1% thing. So if you have $500 and you risk $5 on a trade, that's 1%. Matches up. I guess it matches up. But the thing that I would be looking at as well is, what is the average range of your instrument? Okay. So that Chicago PMI gets released early, by the way. That's what it was right there. Woo. So the E-mini, not like that.
Bot says, okay, so the code you just sent me is exactly like the code I have here.
This is so weird, John. I don't know how to explain that, other than just try closing the market analyzer and opening it back up again. There's got to be like something you're setting up in the market analyzer wrong. Like maybe you're using total instead of
Eric Cages
TFC
says
signal or
TLDR,
something.
it's possible to make $200 per day with a small account, but it's pretty unlikely if you're asking these sort of questions. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, I guess what Eric Cages is getting at is that trading is really hard, and it takes most people several years to get to the point until they're even within the area of consistent profitability. The thing is I think some people have this idea that you get to a certain point and then you're there, and then after that you're always consistently profitable. But the truth of the matter is that even the best traders have ups and downs.
Show me your market analyzer for a minute.
Sure. So I'm not going to trade this, even though the 10-year did give me another signal, I suppose, but it's off the PMI. I don't want to trade the PMI, columns. So here I'm just doing it off of
Gary Rich
IRTFC
says at
total
live, have you
signal.
been watching these rotations hour by hour on YM?
And then, of course, 35 days back. That should be printing out a 0, 1, or a -1, not a 5. If you're doing 5, then you're using total. See, if I change it to total, then it will give me 5. See, gives me 5 because total is for drawing. But total signal should give me a 0 or a 1. Yep. Man, them treasuries up. Up, up, up. Well, there was so much shorting. I'm going to wait until 7:45 and the whole market has the number, but it must have been bad. And like I was saying, some of those numbers have been coming out good, so we're expecting 48.8. 30 seconds here.
Air Cages says I think everyone goes into trading with the mindset of I'm going to make this amount of money, while in reality it's more like you're going to be losing for a long time before you start breaking even.
Oh yeah, totally.
Ace Trade says at Hugo Oswald, what is the ballpark that you have to invest?
Yep, how much do you have to start out with? Important question. Okay. Interesting. Okay. 42.9 versus an expected 48.8. Big miss. Yes, sir.
Bot says, so can you put hourly, daily, weekly, monthly signals on the same market analyzer using your version there?
Sure. I think I missed along, so let's do that.
Ace Trade says at Air Cages, I think you pay for learning to trade one way or another.
Hourly signal. Daily signal.
Bot says can't see.
Oh, sorry, hold on a second.
Bot says someone's giant head is in the way.
Okay. So this one is going to be weekly signal. And for that one, we have to add at least 8 days back, I guess.
Block by.
Dang, they're just going to go and go, aren't they? Monthly signal. And this one, we need like 35 days is what we've been doing. 35. Okay. Yep. ES is down on everything except for the month. And Treasuries is positive on everything. Ooh, what's going on at 16.5?
Ace Trade says at Bots there is no amount of screens large enough to not have that cranium in the way. Air Cages says yeah, it's pretty much inevitable. Most people will then say, wait, I don't want to lose money. Trading is not for you then.
Yeah. Well, think of the challenge that you're taking on when you're trading.
Live Action says Dag Nabbit missed 6th.
Just by the nature of a zero-sum game, 50% of people are going to lose money.
Ace Trade says at Air Cages you have to learn to lose money as skillfully as being able to make money.
You have to be better than 50% of the orders out there. Better than 50% of the orders. Except for that these big guys account for like almost everything.
Trades.
Okay. So really you have to be, on par with these professionals, and you're just some guy trying to figure out everything from your basement. It's hard to do. You're not going to do it in a month. You're just not. It's going to take a long time for you to get to that degree of good. It's like Olympic I do Olympic weightlifting, okay? There are people, like the people that go to the Olympics These people have been weightlifting since they were 4. And then do you expect to come and be weightlifting for a month or 6 months and then expect to go to the Olympics? It's not going to happen. It's going to take you years. And if you're too old in weightlifting, you're probably never going to get there because you're just too old and you don't have the recovery. But I digress. That's not comparable to treasuries here. But here in trading, yeah, it's going to take you a couple of years to get to that level. Oh, show us your guns.
Show us your guns.
Show us your guns. I don't have very good biceps, man. They don't. You don't use your biceps in Olympic weightlifting. You don't use them at all.
Air Cages says steroids, Seth. Are there steroids in trading?
It's okay. It's okay. I haven't done any bicep stuff for a while. I really should have take a good 3-month program and just work on my biceps, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I wish I could show you my legs because I got pretty I wouldn't say that they're
stop
big.
The old comments, they're snowflake.
I don't have
Gary
huge
Rich
legs,
says,
but
man,
they're
you are
pretty
so
ripped.
negative at times. Jesus would not like your negativity.
Hey, you know what? When we're talking to new people, somebody has to be willing to tell them the way it is. It's not reality. It's not negative. It's just what it is. It's not good or bad. Facts aren't good or bad. They're just facts.
Ace Trade says, do it. Show us the legs.
Show us the legs. I don't think I have any way to do that. The camera wouldn't be able to get in on it. And I have to stand like all the way over there, and I don't think that these pants would roll up that far. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, John, it works, right? So use my version. Should work for you. If it's not working, I think that it has something to do with the way you're setting it up in the market analyzer. I'm not sure.
Gary Rich says, show us the gluts. Stand on
show
the chair,
us the gluts. I mean, I'm not. I can't roll up my legs.
Eric Cages says, I want to learn trading from Nav, the flash crash trader. He got off prison, so it's great.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Says it, Gary Rich, I wish I had called my short so I could be all humble brag about it.
I don't want to go and find this story right now, but that was a really interesting story. This guy, he's basically autistic, and he was spoofing, and the feds went after him, but he got off easy because he was so nice to them and they really liked him. It's a pretty funny story, actually. 17.5 still, but that's the top of this volume. Okay, where are we at in the E-mini? Okay, yesterday's point of control was 32.57. So there could be another down move in the E-mini. I would need a real...
Rob C says, how do I set up the market analyzer like you have?
Well,
Eric Cages says, Seth, can you do a rear glute spread like a pro bodybuilder?
I don't know. So to have it the way that I just did right there, we
Gary
created
Rich
an
says, I want to learn from the target manager. 500K to 12 mil in 5 years in 10 days, lost 9. That's awesome.
What you do is you right
Action
click.
Says Nav started at Futex Live. A lot of the guys are over at Axia now, i.e. Dimitri.
You go right click and you go columns, and then you can add an indicator onto it. And that's what I did, was I added the indicator, and then it's my custom indicator. I think we are eventually going to post it, but we got to make sure that it works correctly.
Bot says, so mine is not working yet.
And John keeps finding problems with it. I'm not sure what he did, but you are using my version of it now, and you can't get it to work in the market analyzer, huh? It's weird. But you might be just picking the wrong one. Like maybe you came in here and you said, oh, this one
Ace Trade
is
says at Air Cages, watch this.
Hourly signal, but then you called it monthly signal or something like that down in here on the label. $10K at 17.5. Big old numbers.
Bot says hourly signal still giving me the wrong answer. Ace Trades says
Hmm.
everyone, if you want to learn to trade, check out Vinny the Trader. Eric
Don't
Cages
do
says
that.
Nav is a legend. He was legitimately swinging 1,000 lots in E-mini while eating a discounted sandwich.
Don't even joke. The people will take you seriously, Ace. And then they'll be out 5K. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So if you guys, so there's this webinar. I think everybody can watch it on the Jigsaw Trading channel. And they have a guy in their chat room that's been doing pretty good on the E-mini. He's got a couple of $1,000 days on there, and he's just trading small amounts, but he's doing okay. And he's scalping ranges. And he told his story, and it's amazing. Oh my gosh, his story is amazing because his story is like, oh, I went to this trading this trading seminar, and it was like $500 for 3 days. But they didn't actually teach me anything. It was really just them selling you on these other courses. So then he bought into these other courses and he spent $20,000 on education. And he wasn't making any money off of that. 20, can you imagine? Like at first I was thinking $500 for a 3-day seminar, that's pretty cheap. But then $20,000 for education, and they were like online courses. Oh my gosh. So then at the end of this, he went and they would give you gurus that you could talk to. So he went and talked to one of their gurus, and this guru was a floor trader, and he showed him a DOM, and he showed him futures, which they didn't teach him anything about. So he kind of started doing the futures thing, and eventually he came across Jigsaw. So he took the training that you get from Jigsaw, and he had taken the professional course, but he still felt like he didn't know enough. So he was like, I want to take the institutional course, which is really expensive, by the way. They have it on Jigsaw. But he was emailing Peter from Jigsaw, and Peter said, I don't think you need it. Maybe go and think about it for a little bit, but I don't think you need it. And so the guy went and thought about it, and he decided, no, I don't need the institutional trader. So can you believe that? That Peter Davies talked him out of buying more education. He said, you already know what you need to know. You just need to execute on it. And so he did, and he journals his trades and everything, and he's been doing pretty well in the recent past, at least. And it was just a really good story that he told. And he didn't really go a whole lot into what his signal was, but he did give a lot of information that give you a pretty good idea of how he trades. And he's doing very similar to what Ace does. You know, he's taking 1 or 2 points in the E-mini and risking 1 or 2 points in the E-mini and catching good win rate. And you trade multiple contracts so you can let them run, and he's doing great. But the thing that was cool about it too was that it wasn't like there was some piece of information that he didn't have. It was just those 3 edges that I was talking about. Your ability to gather new information about that market, your ability to confirm that that information has edge, and your ability to execute on it. And that's what he did. Is he started watching the E-mini with the order flow. So he had all the tools to see things. He started tracking his setups in the journal so that he could see if they had edge or not. And then he used that to narrow down which setups he took, and he got really good at taking those setups. And now he's been pretty reasonably profitable. Ace was saying I was joking. Don't 20K, isn't that like 10 PhDs from Trump University? Oh man. Yeah, anyways. China says no need for unnecessary panic or excessive measures over a virus. Okay. Because quarantining a whole city is an unnecessary panic or excessive measure. Okay, so they've come back down now. Do you think that there's going to be another run in this? It's curious. The E-mini did not touch that point of control. I'm skeptical that they're done. I see the cumulative deltas kind of
RZH says hi.
Here. Hey, how have you been, dude? I haven't seen you all week. They didn't quarantine you, did they? So our friend is from China here. So all this has been happening, and I haven't had anybody from China to talk to about it. Because here's the question that I want to know.
Ace Trade
I
says at
don't mean,
RZH howdy.
if this is culturally insensitive, I don't mean any offense by it. But who eats bats? Is that like there are people and they just love to eat bats and they think it's just the greatest tasting stuff? Or is it more like a novelty, you know? Because why would you eat a bat?
Air Cages says the World Health Organization has declared the coronavirus outbreak a global health emergency.
Yeah. I'm telling you guys, there are certain things, obviously, you can eat just about anything, and if you take the proper precautions and
RJ
everything,
Wheels says in
but
Badgers.
there are some things that you just shouldn't eat, all right? Because they're much more likely to have diseases, and bats is one of them. Don't eat bats. Oh, man.
Ace Trade says if you have 4 billion people to feed, you have to eat everything.
Oh, no. No, listen, this is a problem in China. So if you watch the, what is it called? Pandemic documentary on Netflix, they talk about this. Because of the past, like 10 World Health Organization emergencies.
Amini Trader says I can't believe it's 21st century yet the Chinese eat bats.
Of the past, like 10, 8 of them have been in China. And
RCH
it's like, why?
Says I'm good Ace beaming face with smiling eyes.
Well, what's happening in China is, they have a growing middle class, and you have all these people that want to eat meat. They want pork, they want chicken, and so there's lots of farming. It's a big.
Amini
it's
Trader
a big business.
says they say they believe bats bring good luck.
Huh.
Air Cages says as an avid bat eater, I am deeply offended.
And what will happen is when you got a bunch of chickens together, it's very easy for them. They're going to pass diseases amongst each other. They're all in close proximity. So if a flu comes in, it's just going to go through all of the chickens. Now the chickens might be able to handle it, but the problem is that they develop a new virus.
Ace Trade says if you have superstitious thinking, your worldview doesn't comport with reality.
And so what happens is, because of the farming practices, they are incubating super viruses, and then they get out and they break out, and you get like a super.
Ace Trade says short signal at 3,263.00.
Okay. Well, I'm just noticing that bid was pulling, and then it ticked up, and now it's stacking.
Gary Rich says it wasn't a bat, it was a very anorexic Chihuahua dog.
Oh, yes, I got it. Okay. Maybe not. I wanted to catch it as she goes. If it comes back on me a little bit, I guess it's not a huge deal. But this price should hold for us. But they're stacking 700 on there. I don't know. Oh, we had news there. What was the news?
RZH says not me, Seth. It's crazy who eats bats.
Consumer sentiment. Consumer sentiment. Not you says wrong. Not me. Okay. But they're saying it's good luck. So I guess for some people, it's a traditional thing. Consumer sentiment 99.8 versus 99.1, and inflation expectations 2.5 versus the previous of 2.5. So it looks like that consumer sentiment news not too interesting. But looks like we're dependent on the E-mini here. Ace said 263. They're not hitting it. It's a little bit too wild here. I don't think that I could take that in the E-mini
Air
right
Cages
now.
says aren't bats just mice with wings? We can still eat mice, right?
Oh, that's right. They are. They really are, aren't they? Well, don't eat mice either, okay? Mice, that's another one that's likely to get you sick, okay? Don't touch mice. That's how you get hantavirus. Hantavirus, that's serious stuff, guys. You don't want that. That's so scary that it's not just called coronavirus, it's hantavirus. Serious stuff. Wow. 27, 25 absorbed at 15.5, a big stack at 16, not pulling.
Gary Rich says that airbirds eat mice, so it must be good. Ace Trade says 2 points. RJ Wheel says Dow retesting overnight low. Decision time now. Who has control of YM? RZH says God horrible.
I don't think that one was for me, but I'm impressed that one worked as well as it did, Ace. I when it's moving like that, I'm like, I don't know if I can hold that kind of risk, but like it did it right now in this spot. Then there's some suggestions there that this trade's not going to work out. But the E-mini's threatening there. Ooh, it's threatening, but they're not quite there yet.
Air Cages says, man, this whole coronavirus thing is really bad PR for Corona beer.
Yeah, right. maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. It'll be interesting to see if the sales change. Okay, that
His
time
trade
the
says
16
also,
pulled.
I have a correction to make. Turns out my wife actually did have a
Oh.
strain of the coronavirus. We went and looked up her medical history. I was wrong, she did have it.
Oh yeah. I've seen people posting stuff on Facebook where they with things that show they have coronavirus, but it wasn't Wuhan coronavirus.
Ace Trade says 4 points.
Damn boy.
Gary Rich says, I want to see 350 to 400 PTS on YM. We needed this.
Really? I'm not. Well, so they touched yesterday's point of control. I'm still not incredibly.
Rob C says, plot twist, Corona created the virus to boost sale.
Oh. Jeez. Guys. I don't know about this. It's not giving me the sort of stuff on the uptick that I would like to see. It doesn't mean that it's not going to work out. It's just I'm not getting
Air
supporting
Cages says,
signs.
Corona Beer says, it trusts customers will ignore link. Hint, they won't.
So I'm going to scratch it. Wow, 1,000 hit into 16 there. Maybe I'm going to regret doing that. It's like as soon as I take it off, then I get the thing that I want to see. That's
RJ
funny.
Wheel says, Ryder Trucks got a boost from Oklahoma.
So you may need to take a little step lower there. So the thing that concerns me was that they're stacking at 16.5. And we need to see that pull. Now, when I see stacking, I don't necessarily think that we're going to go down. I think they're going to push it down and try and absorb more before they let it come up. At least that's what they've been doing recent. Like that's what they did at the highs, especially when they were like at 12. So they push it up, they let it come down, and then they bought it again, and then it really went. Of course, it's really going because of the Chicago PMI. So 42.9 really bad compared to the 48.9.
Kaka Silva says, do you swing trade? Air Cages says, 911 call. I was drinking this Corona beer and I feel kinda dizzy. Could it be the coronavirus? K laugh track.
42.9 is really bad, actually. But look, the E-minis. So, like, it gave me a valid signal. Now it's giving me the scratch. So it might give me another entry if they start building volume at 11. It's close. Okay, now it is. No, still not yet. Okay. Now it's a signal. Shit. Well, I mean, I saw it. I don't think I executed on that too terribly well, and I ended up hitting in with a market order. Ugh.
Bot says this market analyzer issue is mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is really weird, John. I'll look at pulled. Of course. Oh. Oh, really?
Bot says my code is exactly the same as yours on every line, but yours works and mine doesn't.
Really?
Air
Did
Cages
you
says I've doubled my money since start of January trading altcoins. Feels good, man.
really? Are they up in Bitcoin today, by the way? I haven't checked.
Gary Rich says hey Seth, I'm only 4 bits per second from 1.5% yield call on the 1 year. Uh-oh, what must I know?
4 basis points from 1.5. Well, you were talking about your long in the longer end of things. Well, I want to know, or I don't want to say I want to know, but the question in my mind is, are they, how long term are they thinking here right now? Are they just thinking, well, PMI was bad and coronavirus is bad and we want to buy things? Or are they really convinced that the next year or two economically isn't going to be all that great and that the Federal Reserve is going to have to cut again for sure? And, you know, so I find it curious to me. The Federal
RCH
Reserve
says just think about if you have 20 to 30 trades a year and you leverage up on those 5 to 10 lot. Live Action says coronavirus up to 75,800 now in Wuhan Newswire.
in treasuries, the Federal Reserve says that they're not going to change interest rates, but the market says that they're going to lower in the summer. And that's curious to me. So why does the market not believe the Federal Reserve? That's the question. And Gary Rich has been right on this so far. Because I thought here maybe we were in a position where the treasuries could fall a little bit, and then the Wuhan virus came up. Okay, that made sense, but then since then it's just kept going. Now the E-mini is trying to push lower,
Gary Rich
below
says it
20,
comes from the
32,
credit impulse from
55.
China. They stim and export that to the global economy. Now the
Okay.
Fed will have to cut if the data keeps softening via rock.
Okay. What do you mean by rock? Oh my gosh, I just got slaughtered there, man. I thought that one was a signal, but
Gary
then the
Rich
next
says rate of
15-minute chart,
change.
it was lower. So, well, I have a rock indicator. I'm wondering.
Bot says rate of change. RJ Wheel says any new report on percentage of affected dying?
You know what? I think that the market reads way too much into those reports. The number of people that die and the percentage of, you know, uh, fatal cases and stuff doesn't tell you how big of an impact it's going to have on the economy. And those numbers could be very deceptive at these points. Should we try this one more time? Or am I going crazy now? It's still giving me stuff that suggests I could buy it, but I don't know. That last one just really worked poorly. They pulled on me. They made me chase it, and then they pulled on me. I got suckered big time. Hmm. So close. See, and then they start doing that sort of a thing. And it should just be short the E-mini, probably. That E-mini has not given much rest at all since the open. When you look at it on the Heikin-Ashi bars, at least. 16.5 is being awfully flaky. See that? Nobody's trading into 16.
Bot says lol, did you notice the number of big pharma CEOs on air in the last few days telling everyone how awesome their companies are, hoping you buy their stock? Air Cages says deceptive. You're acting like a virus should start with infecting half the population on day 1 in order to be considered serious. Fact is, it's spreading. 75k today,
So?
150k tomorrow, etc.
So?
Bot says cause
So?
they've all got stock options that are out of the money.
So? The question is, what's the economic impact to that? There is not a one-to-one relationship between the number of people impacted and the effect on the economy. It's not a one-to-one relationship. So how do you calculate that out? How do you say 100 more people have died from coronavirus and that's going to affect GDP by X%? How do you say that? There's no way to calculate that. There's literally no way to calculate that. You could look at past epidemics and you could say, this is how many people died and this is what the effect was on GDP. Has anybody done that analysis? I haven't seen it. But I don't think that you can just read the headline and say X more cases and say, okay, we sell it. It doesn't work that way. Of course, it does work that way because the market is extremely emotional. But have we actually done the research on the? I haven't done it, so I can't necessarily trade off of that edge per se, right? Okay, well.
Bot says it's not about the number of people, it's all about which one of the larger global economies is affected by the outbreak.
Well, that's true too, but let's look at SARS. What was the economic impact of SARS? And what was the impact on the market of SARS? Right? It was a very short-term in nature, and it wasn't really that big of a drop. So let's say that this one is worse. Okay, then what if it's 3 times worse than SARS?
Bot says when they were starving in Biafra no one on Wall Street gave a damn. Gary Rich says they have estimated those numbers on GDP. Newsflash Reddit not gonna show that information ROFL.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that the guys at the banks know.
Air Cages says it's spreading. Short the market and continue to short all bounces. Seems easy enough to me. Live Action says being day traders short term okay.
Yeah, let's like you say that, but here's what's going to happen: is you guys are all going to short
says,
it.
I'm afraid to eat my egg roll.
Everybody shorts it, and then you're all going to get caught short, and then it's going to move up, and you're still going to be short, and you're all going to lose your hats, and then they're going to go up to new all-time highs, and you're going to say, "Oh my God, that was the best buying opportunity that I'm going to get for the next 5 years, and I was selling it." That's what's going to happen. Because it's like, okay,
Gary
yeah, I
Rich
understand.
Says it live thumbs up flexed biceps.
I understand that it impacts the economy, but 1, it's a short-term impact, and 2, we can't
Live
really
Action
quantify
says
it.
I already short, and Seth is jinxing me.
I can't quantify it. But then when I look at treasuries, this can't just be coronavirus.
Gary Rich says lol.
I think that the things that Gary Rich said earlier make a lot more sense to me. That the market has good reason to believe that the Federal Reserve is going to have to cut again. I mean, like, here's the thing. We're still just at yesterday's point of control in the E-mini. It's not like this looks like panic, but it's not panic yet. Get us below 45, and then I'll show you panic. Maybe we get there. Okay, well, I don't have that stupid thing. Where did it go? Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
Gary Rich says see you wish. Click your heels and 350 down on YM.
350 down on YM. I'm just saying the ES has not gotten to panic levels yet. They're kind of right now, they're just like return to value. Now, if you really think that the case is negative, then ooh, you could go. Now, one thing that I do think is really very much in favor of the shorts is it's really hard to figure out what it's going to do over the weekend. So I don't think that very many people would like to hold positions over the weekend, would they? I'm thinking that last trade. How did I let that go 3 against me? It was more than that. I should have had a tighter stop on that. Like this one, we can drag it up. You're actually trading more volume at 58 than 55. So another curious thing. Okay, seeing some offers pull in the 10-year. Hmm.
Gary Rich says I'll let you in on a secret. Watch the VIX, it matters. High VIX levels equals lots of short-term pounding. RJ
Sure.
Wheel says now we start hunting 1030 reversal, Gary.
Fortunately, I don't really have a good way to watch VIX on a short-term basis. I have to pay for more data. I used to watch that all the time until TradingView made it you can only see it on a daily basis now. Okay. E-mini had a little bit of a recovery. Now they're trying to sell it again. They're having a hard time holding this 58 range. Normally, them coming back up to this spot would mean that they'd be able to push through it, but they're not. Not yet, at least. Hmm. It says get out.
Vincenzo C says if you're in a generous mood, Gary, what number constitutes a high VIX number?
If you look at the chart, it'll be pretty clear to you. I don't know if treasuries can hold these levels. I don't know. They're just being really difficult for me, aren't they? That kind of suggests to me that you're not going to get your long. In fact, oh, can't do that one. Oh, because I have a stop line. That's why.
Philippe Splingart says this is bookmap in the low middle SCR.
No.
Gary Rich says anything above 16, when the front drops hard like to 14 to 12 they price risk on. Vincenzo C. says thanks, Gary. Philippe Splingart says bookmap application? Is en it?
Okay. I don't know if I'm too happy about the way I got filled there, to be honest. Hmm.
Vincenzo C. says is a VIX always a contrary indicator?
Well, how do you say it's a contrary? I don't think
Lucas
that's
says
necessarily what he was saying. Lucas. Hmm. Hmm. It's doing okay. Hey. Hey. Almost. Almost. Come on. No. They hit me with 20.
Lucas says free your mind.
Cool. Free your mind. By the way, that was Rich's strategy that I just took right there on that e-mini. I only took $10 off of it, but hey. There you go. I might run more than that, but I think that $10 is all I'm willing to risk right now. They're a little, I don't know, rangy, I guess you can say.
Lucas says there you go.
It worked with Neo and it worked with you. Wait, you say I freed my mind because I used Rich's moving average there? So here's the thing that I find interesting about this, about what I've been watching with Rich's. Let me show you that, and I'm not going to explain completely why I took it because I'm not sure I completely understand it myself. But here, these two charts
Lucas
are set up
says it
almost
worked with
exactly
Neo
the
and
same.
it worked with you.
Oh, why am I the reader seems like backed up for some reason? Let me just close and restart this. So these two charts right here are almost the same. Like this is a CCI. This is a Fisher transform. I don't know. Does this one not have the Fisher transform on it? It does. Maybe I just need to refresh it to fix it. Oh, okay. That's the time frame indicator. Okay. Anyways, so the main difference between this one is that this is Heike Nishi bars, and these are just your regular 5-minute bars. And these are kind of colored based on whether they're outside bars or whatever. Now look at this one. You just see red, 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 red. And notice how the previous bar's median is like right at the top of the current bar's medium, like every single time. But that's not the case in the regular one. So those Heikin Nishi bars do a much better job of showing where there's trend. And on this bar right here, showing a really excellent spot to potentially go short.
Live Action says Seth they're voting on witnesses today.
Yes,
RJ
they're
Wheels
supposed
says
to
rubber
at least.
stamping.
I guess there's always a chance that some procedural thing pushes it back, but they're supposed to be
Gary
doing it
Rich
today.
says VIX is pricing the volatility of the market. I watch the 2 versus 8 and 4 versus 7 VIX spread to see when turns come. At the same time, volatility can only sustain its high levels for a certain amount of time.
Right, yeah. Well, so in terms of it being a contrary indicator, if it's too low or it's too high, then that suggests that there might be a turn. But there's also this whole thing where you will see the VIX kind of start to move a little bit. Like maybe we'll go up and then the VIX doesn't really go anywhere, and then we move down and the VIX moves up substantially more than it did last time that we went down. Then you might say, okay, this time the market is a lot more concerned about that particular move. And so it can kind of tell you more information about what the market thinks about risk at that particular time. Well, I really got lucky on that trade because they just turned around and dove down for another low. And the treasuries are still just kind of all over the place. I really want to buy treasuries, but I'm not seeing a spot where I can really take a good trade in that. It's that chop. Like, notice here in this one, how do we draw this? Drawing pools, align. Look at that. There was the initial impulse. Okay. Lots of activity because of PMI, new high, activities
Vincenzo
decreasing.
C says thanks, men. That's a cool idea, Gary.
So if we do move higher, the offers would probably have to pull to make it happen because the volume is drying up a little bit. Switch it back over here. Ooh, you might get a hammer here. I don't know if it will qualify. We had an outside bar there for the new low. So if they switch back up and they get above like 3260 or so, then that might be the end of it. That could be. I tell you what, I don't have any stats from Gary. He's never shown me like long-term stats, I don't think. Maybe well, no, I'm pretty sure he hasn't. But he sure does have a lot of good information. So he knows what's going on. I really wish that I could see the VIX, but I would like to see the VIX futures and stick that up here, but the data for that is way too much. Isn't it? No, maybe it's not. Maybe it's only another $5. I don't know. Chicago manufacturing PMI activity slumps to weakest reading since late 2015. Fell to 42.9 this month from 48.9 in December. Any reading below 50 indicates deteriorating conditions. Yes. Well, now I'm getting another higher high. 12. I think I'd need 13. I don't know if you can take that one in the treasuries either. I don't know if you can take that one either. Well, I know that I want to take that one. Not sure why. By the way, when are they expected to vote on witnesses? When?
Live action says closed short S.
Okay. This bar hasn't closed and told me anything yet.
Live action says though RTY broke yes low.
Did it? Well, the way that they've been trading down in the equities, you would think that they would want to go for yesterday's low, but they've been
Bots says PM in Discord for you.
They've been incredibly weird about it. Oh, bots got it. What did you have to do? What was wrong? That whole issue was so bizarre. So do you see there? I thought, hey, maybe. But look, they pulled some bids. They let it drop down. Now there's 15.
Live action says Seth agree, but volume thinning.
Well, yeah. It's like I was saying in treasuries, it doesn't look like they can hold those levels, but there's a stack at 15.
Bot says I saved your version as IRTFCv2 and compiled. It works fine.
Oh, what? That's weird. So maybe go into your workspace, delete your version, compile, rename my version to the new one, compile, and then maybe that would fix it. So maybe you've got something going on with the old version of the compiled code sticking around and not being cleaned up correctly.
Bot says I think it has something to do with me using the TGN folder to put the indicator in.
Oh, yeah, that would do it. Why do you use the folder? Well, I understand why you might use the folders, but I'm not a huge fan of the namespaces. Just personally. Unless you've got like a whole package. Okay. The treasuries are certainly coming back there thinking that the E-mini is going to go long. The buyers aren't getting it past the spots that I think you would need to see. Let's say time. Vote on witnesses time. I want to know, when are they likely to vote on it? Is it going to be
Bot says
this
I probably have to
afternoon,
add
this
some code
evening?
like Lizard Indicators did to define market analyzer columns, inputs.
I've never looked at that. So that you don't have to configure the colors and stuff.
They're testing the lows of the 24th. Bot says I'll let you know how that goes.
Okay. But would that make it so that when you add it, it just like does all the colors and everything automatically for you and less configuration required, or is it something else? They're still selling.
Bot says lol, clearly you've never looked at that.
I really don't use the market analyzer. In fact, now that it's working, I'm going to close all these windows. This can go over here. Bada boom. Do we have any more news today? Budget balance for Canada. Sorry, John, but nobody cares about Canada's budget balance. I mean, if they're gonna do it sometime during the day, we could stream it, and I think that it would be fun. But if what if it doesn't happen until tonight?
Bot says his indicators have a dedicated input user choice for a market analyzer input.
Okay. Well, something to investigate, at least. So where are me? So question: have you been using the pivots, and those have been working just fine? Though I guess you probably never got the thing that tells you the range and stuff to work. Joe Biden wants you to know Bernie Sanders is no Democrat. Analysis by CNN's Chris Cizilla. Okay. I don't know if I care about what Chris says, but that's funny that they're doing that. I tell you what, I don't think the Bernie Sanders fans realize what is about to come their way.
Bot says yes, the price pivots are working exactly as they should now.
Awesome.
Gary Rich says watch if we get down 1.5% you'll see all the CNBC peeps squawking like a parrot of why this occurred. I enjoy laughing watching CNBC.
Yeah. You know what? I've always been a big fan of CNBC, and I learned a
RJ
lot
Wheel
from
says
watching them.
CNBC is a long-running sitcom.
I've learned a lot from watching. Like when I first started, I would just watch CNBC all day, and listening to them, I learned a lot of stuff about markets from them. But in terms of their what is the word, the narrative that they try and build, just ignore the narrative that they have. I mean,
Live Action says ever notice how frequent floor pivot correlates with 50% fibs?
no.
Gary Rich says it live yep.
So can you guys make a statistical argument to me as to why floor? Because we've been, John and I have been talking back and forth about that because we've been looking at like daily levels, and his opinion is that the pivots just are like total nonsense. That like maybe they mattered back when people were on the floor, but now they don't matter anymore. But John is very much a fan of 50% levels. But every time that I try and
Bot
do,
says CNBC should be renamed All Apple all the time.
well, yeah, it's just like they'll build this narrative like the market sold today because of coronavirus, and I do that same sort of a thing too. But if you try trading off of that,
50 PCT fibs work. Live Action says midline concept.
If you try trading off of that narrative, you will get crushed because you'll always be late to the trade. Mm-mm. 50% definitely seems to be a thing though. And I don't exactly understand how the math turns out in like the volume to make it that way, but it definitely happens in a large number of the cases. I guess let's look over
Gary
at
Rich
this.
says pivots are a calculated number. Still many follow them, like R1, S1, R2, S2, etc., etc.
50% level in ZB would
Live
be
Action
06.
says naked chart let market tell you what it's respecting. Bot says I get especially chapped listening to John Ford pontificate his opinions about the tech industry.
I don't even know who that is. Is that a new guy? Think that they'll come back to 06? That actually looks like that's not unlikely. But the equity indexes continue to sell. Can you believe that I caught 8 ticks off of a long there like that? I already got lucky. Well, I mean, there was edge in it, but still, I was not the right way. Was not the right way. I think we should add to this the TFC. I don't know why I don't have it on there, but we're gonna have to come down here and fix these because we have it set up for John's thing and the way that he likes it. I don't like it that way, and I'm gonna do the hard thing. I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna say Bar. Oh, come on. Bar. 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 Fly.
Gary Rich
Good.
says just like people spewed out
No, not
theory,
good.
holy smokes did they just wake up from a 50 years coma.
Oh, is there no way to make it oh, it does match data series with. What happens if you don't? Yeah, I don't think it matters. Oh no, I know what I can do. Order flow, volume profile, profile width is 4? Wait, what? How is that? How was that the case? 4? It's got to be like 16 or something like that. Yeah. Could even be more than that. Could probably be almost 32. Boom. Wait, what if it's 30? 20.
Bot says no, the auto bar width is tied to your candlestick width setting.
Yeah. Kind of sucks. Oh well. I'll just set them all to be 20. I mean, it's the problem is that if I zoom in and out, it's not gonna. Well, that kind of sucks. But fix that, Ninja. No, they don't have to fix that, but should do 16. Well, that's about as far back as I'm ever. Well, let's like say how zoomed in do I want to make it? Sure. Sure. We'll do it. We'll do it 16. We'll do them 16. Indicators. So this one, match data width, template, save as default. Then I'll change this and make these all 16. 16. 16.
Bot says are you playing hooky from work today?
Well, yeah, that's why I was wondering what's the when are they gonna do the thing? Because I want to play hooky from work today, but if they're not gonna do the thing, then like what's the point? You know? Like if they're not gonna do the vote until like later today, the vote on impeachment, then but that's why I want to do it. I want to sit here and watch impeachment and maybe stream it and yeah, because I think it'd be fun.
Gary Rich says I'm out of YM. I sense a short-term reversal coming. I've milked
Okay.
this cow long enough.
Okay. Well, you guys sure got some good shorts. I remember the ace was like at 62 short. And I said it's too volatile for me to take, but then it never would have gone against you, I don't think. Hmm. Results from the Iowa caucuses may help winnow the Democratic field. No duh, The Economist. What a dumb headline. What a dumb headline. Okay, is this thing going to give us our... It's not there yet. Here, I'll bring it over here.
Bot says you should play hooky. No one ever laid on their deathbed saying they should have spent more time in the office.
Well, I can
Ace Trade
work
says
from home.
at Gary Rich S still dropping.
I have some work I want to do. I want to learn about this
Live
continuous
Action
integration
says it would
system.
be fun if they vote for only one witness shift. That picture would be worth something.
No, I don't think they're going to
RJ
vote for
Wheel
any.
says it was great last night when Nadler jumped in front of Schiff to give closing. And Schiff yelled out, Jerry, Jerry.
That, I did not see that. That happened? Oh, I'm going to have to go back and watch that. Jerry, what? What? Well, so we talked about that earlier, but did you see Warren's question? Ah, there we go. It just died. See? Ran out of requests. It's not fair. Google, fix that. I tell you what, Google, if I can rant, non-politics, we'll talk about Google, because we all hate them, don't we? Well, I don't know if we all hate them, but I remember when it was like, Google can do no wrong, and then the past like 5 to 10 years, it's just like every little thing that they do kind of irks me. But on YouTube, need to find that Jerry video. On YouTube, they have an API for you to get chat messages so that you can do stuff like bots, but it's not a streaming API, and so you have to pull it over and over again. And so in order to pull it to be able to like read chat like this, it's pointless. It's pointless to try. Well, I mean, we do it, but it only lasts for 2 hours. It's retarded. It should be a streaming API that I just can connect a socket to, and it just sends me the messages as I get them, and I should be able to run it all day. I don't understand why we can't do that. Google, whoever's in charge of your API, this should be an easy change. Just do it. And get it done. Get it done. So that's my rant about Google. Oh yeah, and by the way, you're allowing people to bully other people on your platform, and when the videos get reported, you don't remove the videos. And you're not following your own terms of service, and you should fix that too. I think it will be a 50-50 split, but the judge will rule against witnesses, says Rob C. Okay, so I think that it will be a 50-50 split, but that the judge will not vote, and so it will be no witnesses. I had heard Nadler and Trump have been at odds for years when Nadler would always try to stop Trump's real estate deals in New York. Oh, that's right. They have like a personal feud, don't they? I think I've heard that as well. Okay, so that bid at 16.5 is looking awfully strong. It is probably this guy at 17 wants a fill. He wants a fill. I'm getting rising point and controls again, so you could potentially take it, but not into that. No, I don't think so. But no, so here's the thing. Is Collins said that she's a yes. If you look back at the history, Collins only votes yes if the Republicans don't need her. So that says to me that either one, the Republicans know that it's going to be a tie and they'll win, or the Republicans know that they have that one Democrat that's on their side. Wayback Machine for 400, Alex? Anyways, now we haven't heard what Morawski is going to do, but I bet you that she's going to be yes. I bet you it's going to be yes. So that would bring them up to 50 unless a Democrat switches sides, which there might be. But I'm starting to get the impression that Mitt Romney is the only Republican that actually wants it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that Morawski, if she knew that they needed her to vote no to stop it from happening, she would vote no. I really think she would. And because nobody wants to sit through more of that stuff. Did you guys buy your Super Bowl snacks yet? No. We're gonna have a barbecue tomorrow though, for the baby. And hopefully the baby. So before we go, if this keeps dropping, I'll actually buy tickets to the thing, so you still have it. Interesting. Well, we haven't gotten... I thought that maybe Ace would have gotten out when it was jumping up at 26 and I took my long, but... They're giving it enough room. But they're still not below yesterday's low. Maybe now they're going to get it. Remember, I keep saying that maybe below yesterday's low, then maybe they'll start to panic. What price do we get the week and the month? What is the word? 32, 36, 75. Could be the price. Let's check here. Nope, that's not it. I want to see if my coworkers are planning on staying home today or not. Don't see anything. Apparently there was I missed some fun stuff yesterday. Okay. I think I'm going to go in. I'm going to go in. So I'll tell you this story. So the story is that we went to do a flip. So what you do is they give the woman like a, what do you call it? They put the numbing in their back just like they were going to give birth. And that relaxes all the muscles down in there. And then they basically push on the belly. So like we go in there. Well, like the thing is, my wife was super nervous about it. She was super nervous about it. Like she really did not want to do it. And the first time she said, okay, well, let me know by the end of today. And then we can get you in tomorrow or something like that. And she didn't do it. And she's like, I'm going to wait and see if he flips on his own and I'll do all these things. So she did all these things and he didn't flip. So she's like, what should I do? What should I do? And so I said to her, okay, now that you've been through this whole thing, maybe we're in a position to think about this a little bit more logically. And I wasn't, because my thought was like, well, I'm not qualified to make this decision. But, I did some of my research and I found out it's an 80% chance that they'll be able to flip the baby. Sometimes it can cause a little bit of distress, but the baby's usually just fine. So if it doesn't work, and the baby's heartbeat starts to drop, then you do an emergency C-section right there and you have the baby and he comes out. Okay. If you don't do it and the baby stays in that position, which is pretty likely, then you have to do a C-section. So it's like, if it doesn't work, you get a C-section. If you don't do it, you get a C-section. If it works, 80% chance it works, then you have a normal birth. So to me, I'm thinking about it and I'm like, okay, so like if it's a trade and if you win, you get your 4 ticks and that's an 80% win rate. And if you lose, you scratch it. That's like the most profitable trade ever. How can I pass that up? So we did it. And the funny thing is they went in there and they're like, okay, here, you got his butt right there and to do it. I don't know. I can't get him to go. I don't know what's okay. Like, I'm not sure what's going on here. Let's see where he is. And they try and find him and his head was already where it was supposed to be. So like they pushed on her for like a minute, if that. It was literally, they just like, baby's in the right spot. So it was literally like we woke up at 6:30. We sat there for, 90 minutes for them to get ready. They push on her for a minute. And then afterwards, you have to wait for the anesthesia and everything to wear off. So we were there for literally 6 hours. Literally 6 hours for them to, push on her belly for a minute. and the office visit is probably going to be like $3,000 or something. And who knows what it all comes out to after the insurance and everything. But, oh my gosh, ridiculous. But best trade ever, I say. So in a couple of years, maybe in like 50 years from now when my son is dead, you tell him that story, all right? that you were able to have a natural childbirth because your parents understood expectancy. Oh yes, the epidural are not fun. I've had so many, I feel like a voodoo doll. Oh really? Yeah. Gary Rich, how many kids have you given birth to? Too many. Maybe you should think about putting in a zipper. Oh my gosh. What? A zipper? Well, the funny thing is that my wife's been thinking like, well, we can't just have one, like he'll just be all alone. So we need to have a second one. But now that we've gone through this with him being the wrong way, she's thinking maybe not. But we'll see what she thinks after he's born. It's like two weeks now. It's so freaking close. In fact, you know the funny thing about all that was that I was like, we had to get the stuff. Like, okay, so if this doesn't work and you're gonna get a C-section, we're gonna be there for like 2 days. So got to take the bag with the clothes, and we got to put the car seat in the car in case he's born and we have to be able to take him back. Then we don't have to drive all the way back home for this stuff. So we were prepared to have to take a baby home, and then it worked. And we're going out to get lunch afterwards, and I'm kind of sitting there, and I'm like, I kind of wish that it didn't work because I want to have a baby in my hands right now. But I can, excuse me, I can wait 2 weeks. I can wait 2 weeks, and we'll bring him. You'll be able to see him. We'll sit and trade. I'm sure that when babies, they can't see very well and they like the colors and the lines. He's gonna love it, guys. We'll sit there with order flow and the baby. It'll be great. See babies come out face down. Yeah, I don't know which direction he is, if he's face down or face up, but his head is down now. That's all that matters. Well, I'm just watching this, and I can see that there were some places where we could have taken this Wyatt trade, but it's a little hard, and I just can't. I don't know. So, like here, for instance, could have taken it, might not have gotten it. Here, I don't know. Can you take that one? I'm kind of getting an idea of it. I think that maybe though the case is that the percentage is just not quite as high as I thought it was, because I took it 3 times today. Yeah, I took it 3 times. One of them I got out on. I took it 4 times. The other one I should have been able to get 1 on. The last one I could have gotten 2 on. It was only that one that really failed on me. So I think that this is something that's like a 60% win rate, but I also think that this is something that I can take 1 tick or scratch it on a lot as well, which is maybe okay. But I think that we're going to have to collect a lot more data to figure this thing out. And I'm also thinking that I need to, I need to take a lot of probably other trades too, because there was definitely some action on the upside and stuff that I think I could have participated in, but I was way too late to. Like that Chicago PMI one, I said, okay, the PMI comes out late, but I could have bought it here at like 14 or something, Ace says, I'd call out another short, but it hurts too bad when you reject me. I know, Ace. The problem, Ace, is that not that I don't think that the signal is good, but I'm really trying really hard to control my risk right now. And so I'll see these ones where like you're taking it, and I'm like, well, that's moving around a lot, and I'm a little concerned about the chances of it hitting my stop. But it's funny that those ones have worked out. And we're not journaling it enough to know, for me to really know the data that I need to know to be able to actually make that decision. So next week, you guys remind me, Ace, that I need to take them every time. And if I'm not super confident about it, I can just take it on sim and journal them all. All right. And then we can get some better stats. Come over here. Funny, haha, or funny like what? I don't know. It's just funny like, when I'm really concerned about it, those ones tend to work out for you. And when I'm like, okay, let's do it, those ones don't. That's when I'm like, is somebody watching me and, just specifically trying to screw over me? Probably not, but can't help but have that thought creep into my mind. It's all about the bromance. Yeah, I understand. Hey, look, I gotta go. It's 9:03. I'll see you guys. Yeah, I tell you what, if they are doing the vote tonight and I'm home, then I will start the stream again. Maybe I'll start the stream on Twitch or something, and I'll play games and we can listen to it. That would be fun. You can watch me get my butt kicked at Apex Legends or something that I haven't played in forever. Okay. Otherwise, I'll see you on Monday. And in the meantime, stay profitable.